Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Time in the world of college basketball. But there is one noteworthy thing going on. And it's actually something that we discussed, about 2 weeks ago now, because I've been away this whole time. But the U19 World Championships, okay? So the U19 World Championships are going on, and we talked about it 2 weeks ago with A.J. Debonsa. All the reports out of the early camp was that A.J. Debonsa was just destroying everybody, and he was picking up full court, 94 feet, 13 straight points to end one scrimmage, something like that. Well, I bring it up because Team USA, the team, since I left, the team was picked. They've already gone to Switzerland, and they've won 2 games. They played Australia on Saturday. They played France on Sunday. And it's kind of crazy. I actually got to watch both of those games. The flight, the game against Australia actually happened while I was on my flight back from Florida. So I got to watch most of that game. And then also the France game, I watched a little bit on Sunday. But what I will say is this. While A.J. Debonsa has been very good, there have been 2 players that, I'll be honest, I don't think I realized how good they were that will be playing college basketball next year. Remember, this is U19, so these are players that will be college basketball players a year from now. And I just don't think I realized how good they were going to be. We're going to talk about both, but I do want to focus mostly on Mikel Brown Jr., the Louisville point guard, because to quote the old Shaq meme, Mikel Brown Jr., I was not familiar with your game. I mean, I didn't realize quite how good he was going to be, though. We'll also talk a little bit about Koa Peat, who has been good as well. But to me, the revelation of this entire event is Mikel Brown Jr., okay? So for people who don't know, Mikel Brown Jr., McDonald's All-American, headed to Louisville. He was one of the highest-rated commits Louisville's had in decades. But he isn't one of those guys that when you talk about this freshman class of 2025, that immediately jumps out as like, oh, that's going to be a dude. Talk about Darren Peterson that way. We talk about Cam Boozer that way. We talk about A.J. Debonsa that way. I think we even talk about a Koa Peat, a Caleb Wilson, whatever that way. But Mikel Brown Jr. is just kind of one of those guys that, yeah, really good player, going to be a great college player, probably makes it to the NBA. But people weren't talking about him as like, oh, he's one of those dudes. Well, through a couple games, I promise you that he has been one of those dudes. First of all, I'll say this, just bigger than I realized, okay? The great story on him was 5'10", like his sophomore year of high school, grew to about 6'2", 6'3" a year ago. Now he is he looks like he's about 6'4". He's listed at 6'4". He looks 6'4", and he plays just like it. Big guard, gets to the paint, gets to the rim, elite three-point shooter. And he has really been just a total, absolute, unquestioned revelation for this team at Team USA through the first 2 games, okay? The big game was Sunday, okay? If you missed the big game on Sunday, he was excellent. He actually did a lot of his work early. That was a game where he had 24 points, 4 assists, 6 of 9 shooting from 3. And so that's another element that I knew he was a good 3-point shooter. 6 of 9 from 3 in a high-stakes game against France. Yeah, that dude is an absolute gamer, okay? By the way, in the first game against Australia, not bad himself, 10 points and 7 assists. And so far in the tournament, we're through 2 games, he has averaged 17 points, 5.5 assists, 3.5 rebounds per game, and he's shooting the crap out of the ball from the 3-point line. And so to me, like I said, he has been nothing short of a revelation. And to take it a step further, I think he kind of changes how I feel about Louisville coming into next year. Because, by the way, I really like Louisville. We did all of our offseason grades. I think we're mostly, if not completely done, largely done. If there's anybody that you want, you can always drop them in the chat. But yeah, no, like we did Louisville, one of the early ones, and I like Louisville. I am as number 9 in my preseason poll. I have them as my ACC favorite going into the year. This stuff's always subject to change. Maybe something happens, whatever. But I really like him. But I liked him under the assumption that like Mikel Brown Jr. was going to be fine. He was going to be good, but he wasn't going to be what he has been through 2 games with Team USA. And what I liked about Louisville was, frankly, all the other guys. We talked about this transfer portal class that Pat Kelsey put together. It's unbelievable. Ryan Conwell comes over from Xavier, averaged 16 and a half points per game at Xavier, okay? I've said it before. He's about 6'3", 6'4". If that guy was 6'6", he'd be in the NBA right now. He would have been drafted this weekend, if not earlier. Isaac McNeely, 43% three-point shooter, probably the best three-point shooter in the portal this offseason. Virginia's leading scorer last year. He, too, is headed to Louisville. And then Adrian Woolley, who we've talked about many times, came from Kennesaw State, is from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, entered the portal. Everyone presumed he was going to Alabama. He ends up at Louisville, and that speaks to how good of a recruiter Pat Kelsey is. And he's another guy that I think, to me, is going to be an NBA-type player. But what I was not anticipating, should mention, by the way, I like the front court pieces as well. Javon Hadley got the extra year of eligibility. By the way, while we were gone, Ali Khalifa, if you remember him, he was on Mark Pope's last BYU team. He got another year of eligibility. And then also Pryor. I always say his name wrong, so I'm not gonna. Is it Kashawn? Is it Kayshawn? Is it Kasan? I always mess up his name. I like all those dudes though. But the one thing that I thought was like, who's going to be the point guard? Is it going to be Woolley? Is Mikel Brown Jr. going to be forced in as a freshman? Is he going to be ready? Well, based on this Team USA stuff, and I know you don't want to overreact to one game, I think he's ready, and I think he could be like one of the best point guards in the ACC. And so if you now have an NBA caliber, lottery-type talent at point guard, I'll be real, I think it changes the entire trajectory of the season. Now, I'm not saying they're going undefeated. They got the tough schedule, Kentucky early. They got Tennessee, I believe, on a neutral. They play at Arkansas. But you're talking about a 6'4" lead guard, NBA size, NBA length, great three-point shooter, 24 points in the last game, 7 assists in the first game. That is the kind of dude that, like, as the season goes on and he gets more comfortable, if he is playing up to that potential with Ryan Conwell, with Isaac McNeely, with Adrian Woolley, with Javon Hadley, with Ali Khalifa, I think all of a sudden we got a great team in Louisville, and I think a team that can really contend and do some special things. So that's interesting to me. By the way, I'd say this, like, great for the ACC. I think the ACC has been for far too long just desperately holding on to Duke and North Carolina and hoping that they're both great. And you have a season like last year where North Carolina kind of sucks and it drags down the whole league. Well, now Louisville, Pat Kelsey proved in year one, totally legit. You got Will Wade at NC State. You got Jay Lucas at Miami. I'm not saying all these guys are going to be unbelievable, but I think these programs will be better. You still have Duke. You still have Carolina. And I think Louisville's coming for blood. I really do. I love Mikel Brown Jr., and I love what I've seen from him. He is, I'll just be honest, he's better than I thought he was going to be. I thought he'd be good. I didn't think he'd be this. Really quickly, probably should mention, Koa Peat has been awesome as well. Okay, so, and by the way, like, Debanza has been really good too, but Debanza we thought was going to be good. But Koa Peat is another one that I think has been a revelation. Now, yesterday or Sunday's game, he struggled with turnovers. But this was a guy, and we've talked about him, you know, he's an interesting story because for a few reasons. He's been so good for so long at the high school ranks that I think he's kind of gotten overlooked. Like, I've told the story a million times, but I went to a camp, the Pangos All-American camp, when he was coming out of 8th grade. And he was there with Jalen Duren, with Derek Lively, guys that have been in the NBA. Jalen Duren reclassed and actually played college basketball a few months later. And Koa Peat went as an 8th grader. And he wasn't like the best player there, but he more than held his own. Just a lot of dudes that were there. Liam McNeely was there. I think Colin Chandler, who's now at Kentucky, was there, on and on. So he's been around forever. You know, he stayed at his local high school, which I think probably has something to do with it. He didn't go to a Montfort. He didn't go an IMG. So he had national showcases, but maybe not at the level of, again, a Cooper Flagg, a Darren Peterson, or whatever. But he's been awesome in these 2 games as well. 17 points in each of the games, including 8 of 12 shooting on Sunday. And I'll say this, you know, I have been higher on Arizona than just about everybody in the national polls. Now, when I thought Carter Bryant might come back, I mean, I legitimately had them as like a top 3 team. Obviously, Carter Bryant gets drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. But even without Carter Bryant coming back, you look at Koa Peat. Listen, I think he's going to be an alpha day one in college basketball, because the thing about him, for people who don't know his background, his dad played in the NFL. He has a brother who played in the NFL. He's got another brother who plays football at Arizona State. And so they're just an athletic and tough family. And so I don't think the physicality of college basketball is going to slow that kid down in any way, shape, or form. And it hasn't slowed him down with Team USA. And so he finished with 17 points in both games. Physical player. I saw Terrence Oglesby, who does a bunch of stuff, calls games for FS1, Field of 68, etc., say he might be the strongest player in the Big 12, like starting next year. And so I just think, it's been interesting because there's been two things. One, we've defaulted to it's a clear top three with Debansa, with Boozer, and with Peterson. And we've also defaulted to it's Peterson and AJ Debansa in the Big 12, and then it's just everybody else. And I think Koa Peat's going to be in all those conversations. Listen, I don't know if he'll be drafted ahead of any of those guys, but the one thing I'll say watching him, I think he's closer to that tier than the second or third tier that's going to be picked 10 to 15. So he's been awesome. Team USA is 2-0. I believe they return to the court on Tuesday, But to me, they are a fascinating story, and they are a great story.